tonight. The province has passed a bill so cities can allow drinking in parks, but will they? The big city mayors aren't so sure. Also, as states of emergency have lifted in Saskatchewan, Alberta's premier has asked for federal help to deal with about 100 wildfires burning in that province. Plus, 2 First Nations women from Saskatchewan have won one of the world's most prestigious journalism awards.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Monday, May 8th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening, and thanks for joining us. A pandemic push to allow drinking of alcohol in outdoor public places has lost momentum, even though the province has now given cities and park authorities the power to approve it. As Aishwarya Dutta discovered, the mayors of Saskatchewan's 2 largest cities aren't keen on it.
This Saskatoon park is one place some people say they'd be eager to drink alcohol if allowed by the city.
I think people that are drinking in parks are drinking in parks right now, and that's the concern regardless. So by making it legal, you're just allowing other people to enjoy it in a barbecue or handle it responsibly. So
right, it's almost summer. Would it be something that you would do?
Absolutely. Have a beer in the park with a barbecue? For sure.
Early in the pandemic, the city of Saskatoon asked the province to change regulations to allow drinking of alcohol in public spaces. The government has now done that, but it's up to municipalities to decide whether to pass their own bylaws. The mayor of Saskatoon released a statement. The situation related to gathering in outdoor public spaces has changed significantly since then. It will be up to council to decide whether to take further steps. We have heard concerns brought forward, and at this point, I don't anticipate this will be seen as a priority for council. City of Saskatoon is preparing a report for council. Meanwhile, the city of Regina is also exploring the potential consequences of the bylaw and seeing what other cities are doing.
I won't get out in front of council on this, nor offer my personal opinion. I think that will be up to council in terms of where and if we do accommodate alcohol consumption in our city parks.
The reaction in the parks is mixed.
Definitely not. I don't think that's appropriate. When people drink, it's definitely something you do within the comfort of your friends and family in a, like a private space, because it can get out of hand. So especially since there's kids around, I don't think that would be appropriate, and you could be exposed to inappropriate things.
I don't see it being a problem. I mean, if we're handling it responsibly, you're just allowing it to be legal and responding accordingly.
Yeah, I guess it's worth seeing what happens. Like, if it's going to become an issue, then get rid of it.
Even though the provincial government has amended the law, drinking is not permitted until it is approved by the local government. Aishwarya Dutta, CBC News, Saskatoon.
2 Regina City councillors could be forced to apologize in writing to the city manager this week. Council will hear a report from the Integrity Commissioner on Wednesday about the fallout from a failed lawsuit. Daniela Ponticelli explains.
Councillors Andrew Stevens and Dan LeBlanc filed a lawsuit last year after funding for homelessness was left out of a draft budget. Their legal action against new city manager Nikki Anderson ultimately failed. But while council publicly criticized the pair in December, it's not over. Regina's Integrity Commissioner will present a report Wednesday recommending council ask for written apologies to Anderson. It found while the councillors treated the city manager with respect, the lawsuit had a considerable negative impact on her.
If there's any personal hardship that anybody's experienced, I'm sorry that happened. And I also know that this is all about respecting a vote of council. And so if council directs me to write an apology, I'll write an apology. Or I'll write a letter that I think is sincere in my beliefs and makes clear what I'm actually sympathetic for.
Stevens says the budget shows he and LeBlanc cared more about putting homelessness funding in the budget than decorum. Both councillors say they stand by their actions.
It's strange to be disciplined for a political disagreement. I think that's a slippery slope because tides can turn, and a few years from now it might be the Conservative members being disciplined for something political, and that's dangerous because democracy matters.
The report says council's criticism of Stevens and LeBlanc back in December is a sufficient reprimand. LeBlanc says he doesn't think a forced apology will fix issues among council, while Stevens is hopeful it could turn a page. Regina's mayor, meanwhile, and city managers say they will wait to address the report until council addresses it on Wednesday. Daniela Ponticelli, CBC News, Regina.
Saskatchewan recently lost its only pediatric gastroenterologist, and now Regina mom says her daughter needs to travel out of province for care. Sarah Turnbull's daughter Blake needs to see a gastroenterologist and recently had to go to Edmonton to receive care. Turnbull says her daughter is 4 and has never seen a gastroenterologist in the province. She says the government needs to move quickly to help children like her get care at home and avoid the added costs and stress of travel. Turnbull says it's more than hiring someone. A new doctor also needs a reasonable workload.
What are we doing to get new staff? And it's more than just giving them a pay raise. It's everything around them to support them in their life, their balance, their team, their infrastructure, the leasing dollars, all of that. And that is what I would like our government to look at, is how can we support these people who are so passionate and so talented so they want to stay here? How can we help them do their jobs so they're not set up to fail?
Health Minister Paul Merriman says hiring a pediatric gastroenterologist is a high priority for the government and the SHA. He says the SHA would like to bring in 3, but because the position is highly specialized, it may take some time to get the doctors hired. In the meantime, Merriman says the province will be bringing in temporary fill-ins to help deal with patient needs. States of emergency have been lifted around the wildfires in Saskatchewan. There are still 20 fires burning. 12 of them are contained. We're keeping a close eye on Alberta, where Premier Danielle Smith has asked for federal help. About 100 fires are burning there, forcing about 30,000 people to leave their homes. Smith spoke with the Prime Minister today, who said Ottawa will be there. Aaron Collins has more.
This is Highway 22 in Parkland County, a little over an hour west of Edmonton. It's one of the front lines in Alberta's ongoing wildfire fight. The fire swept through this area over the weekend, forcing people in the area between the communities of Drayton Valley to the south and Evansburg to the north from their homes. The ground is still smoldering here. Days after fires moved through this area, crews working to put hotspots out. Burnt power and phone poles here mean many services are still out in the area. Some residents still unable to return home, others already dealing with loss.
Just about, I'd say, the entire quarter of trees and land is burnt. One of the houses is completely leveled. The exterior of the other house is damaged substantially. A lot of vehicle loss, a lot of livestock loss, immeasurable precious items.
More than 100 wildfires are burning out of control across the province. That is the bad news. The good news, it's raining today in this part of Alberta, but officials warn that it likely won't be enough to put these wildfires out for good.
We have some light showers for the next 2 days, and that will start drying out over Wednesday and Thursday, and we'll see hot temperatures again, and our fire risk goes right back up again. So this is a bit of a reprieve, but it's certainly not the amount of moisture we need. We need several days of rain, so the precip is not going to put this fire out.
Cooler, damp weather is expected to continue in this area for the next couple of days. Crews here hope to use that time to get the existing fires under control. But they're going to have to work quickly. Warm, dry weather is forecast for the weekend. Perfect conditions to fan the flames of existing fires and potentially spark new ones. Aaron Collins, CBC News, Parkland County, Alberta.
The federal government has unveiled $390 million in new funding to deal with gang violence and gun-related crimes.
Strong borders, strong laws and enforcement, and strong prevention. And it's only with that strong plan that is based on these 3 pillars that we can get guns off of our streets and prevent further loss.
The money will be provided to provinces and territories over 5 years. The public safety minister says today's announcement builds on Ottawa's 2017 initiative, Take Action Against Gun and Gang Violence. He says it's designed to help law enforcement and to support crime prevention programs. According to the government, gang-related homicides in Canada's largest cities have almost doubled since 2013. People flying in or out of Regina International Airport finally have the option to take public transit. This morning, the airport launched its first ever transit route. Buses will run between the airport and the Cornwall Centre 5 days a week. The frequency depends on the time of day. So every 20 minutes first thing in the morning or every 40 minutes in late afternoon. Right now there is no weekend service. Bus Route 24 was designed with both airport employees and travelers in mind. The new route was actually approved by the city back in April of 2020, but was put on hold because of the pandemic.
The reality was, during the pandemic, with such a major downturn in both passenger volumes and the reduction in staff, it just made sense to wait till the airport was bouncing back. And now we certainly are. Coming this summer, we're going to be at 93% of pre-pandemic airline capacity, so the time to launch this bus service is now. And we're so thankful to the City of Regina and all of the partners at Regina Transit of making this service a reality today.
The Airport Authority is pitching in $100,000 a year for the next 3 years to support the transit route. The bus is free this week, but normal fares will apply going forward. Two Saskatchewan First Nations women have won the world's top journalism award. Connie Walker and her team won a Pulitzer Prize for Best Audio Journalism. She produced a podcast about her father's experience at residential school in Duck Lake. The podcast was called Stolen: Surviving St. Michael's. Walker says it's an incredible honor and it will help more people understand the realities of Canada's residential school system.
It's an incredible honor in journalism, but also I think what it says about the story that our team told about my dad and my family, but also about all of the survivors.
Walker is a former CBC journalist from Okonee's First Nation. The team included former Saskatoon Star Phoenix reporter Betty Ann Adam from Fond du Lac. Other outlets received Pulitzers, including the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, and Associated Press. Well, love them or hate them, the geese are out in full force down by the river in Saskatoon and all over the province. It was the perfect day to be outside and bird watching, a little bit of cloud cover and a comfortable temperature. It's still warmer out there than average, and it looks like that's going to continue through the week. Ethan will have more in his forecast after the break. Stay with us.
This weather update is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz Regina, proud member of the Capital Automotive Group.
Welcome back. Our weather specialist, Ethan Williams, joins me now. Little bit of rain in the province today. I know it tried in Regina, but we could have done with more.
Yeah, we certainly had some cloudier skies and definitely maybe a few sprinkles here and there, but certainly throughout portions of southern Saskatchewan, especially, we've seen those pop up, and even a few rumbles of thunder as well. Had some reports of even some small hail around Leader this afternoon, just north of Swift Current. The most organized line is kind of in south central Saskatchewan, a line from Assiniboia to kind of just south of Radville, and the most of the lightning and the thunder in those storms has died off, and now it's just kind of a band of light to moderate showers, but that is definitely a possibility through the night tonight. But where they have not continued to see rain, of course, is in northern Saskatchewan, where it has been very dry, and as a result, air quality statements have stayed in place through the weekend in places like La Loche, Buffalo Narrows, and Isle La Crosse, and of course a large portion of central and northern Alberta dealing with those, as you saw earlier in the cast. And in terms of the fire situation right now, we have 21 active fires in the province, 6 of those uncontained, and most of them are in portions of the northern grain belt. There's a cluster of them kind of just north and west of Prince Albert, one just south of La Ronge, and a couple of others in the Buffalo Narrows area. No evacuations in place for any of those right now, but look at that, getting close to 100 total fires so far in 2023, and that is nearly double the 5-year average. And that risk has been downgraded, especially for portions of south and central Saskatchewan, into the low to moderate rating. as we've seen some of those showers move through. But for the north and western portions of south and central, we are still seeing that very high risk, which will likely be in place over the next couple of days. And here's why. We still have very dry conditions in the north overnight tonight. South and central, we could continue to see non-severe thunderstorms, some pop-up showers overnight tonight. Fog also possible in southern Saskatchewan. The relative humidity has increased, and with some showers, that could produce some patches of that overnight. But again, for tomorrow, I think we'll see some cloud cover start to build into central sections of the north around La maybe some sprinkles in western sections of the north, but south and central, a very similar day to what we've seen today. Pop-up showers, convective thunderstorms, non-severe likely as we head through the day tomorrow. Wednesday, our next best chance of any measurable rain in southern Saskatchewan, but again, not really for the north. But the one good thing is that our winds are going to be staying light over these next couple of days. Gusts in the 20 to 30 range as opposed to that 40 to 50 plus range over these last few days here. Now that ridge that has been bringing that very warm air starting to move eastward. You see we are about to get some cooler weather, and then another ridge starting to build into the jet stream, and that will be bringing much warmer weather as we start to head to the end of the week, as you'll see here in our extended forecast. Again, a couple of unsettled days here for Regina and the south, but after that we'll see some clearing a little bit on Thursday, Friday, possibly some rain showers, but then very warm as we start to head back into the mid-20s by the end of the week. In Saskatoon, pretty much an identical forecast here. Again, I think Friday we could see some showers, but especially for central and northern Saskatchewan, Sam, looks like really warm and sunny conditions return as we get into the weekend.
It's so tempting to plant flowers, but we know better.
That's right. We got to wait a little while longer.
Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
Shake hands, say good luck.
5-pin bowlers from across the country started gathering in Regina over the weekend. They're here for the Canadian Youth Bowling Championships, known as YBC 5-pin Nationals to those in the know. The event from Youth Bowl Canada features athletes from 8 to 19, and even the youngest bowlers had scores well over 100. Nationals started yesterday and runs until tomorrow at the Golden Mile bowling lanes. We'll be back after the break. As we work to reduce emissions and keep up with energy demands, we hear a lot about renewable sources of power. But what about when it's not windy or sunny? The conversation around nuclear power is gaining steam to fill that void. But what further growth would look like, and what are the risks? Meteorologist Kristi Kleiman-Haga has more.
Every time we put out a story, we ask you what you want to hear about next. And the overwhelming response has been nuclear. So let's talk about it. When you think about nuclear power, you might think of Homer's day job on The Simpsons. Or perhaps it's the international nuclear disasters that make headlines, Chernobyl or Fukushima. But the truth is, nuclear power is already part of everyday life for much of Canada. And some say it could be the answer to helping us lower emissions and mitigate climate change. Nuclear power got its start in Canada about 60 years ago, and today plants in Ontario and New Brunswick supply about 15% of our country's power needs. These large nuclear plants produce a reliable source of baseload power with little to no greenhouse gas emissions using a uranium-based fuel. In the next 10 years, we could see more nuclear reactors coming online in the country, but they'll be smaller. These so-called small modular reactors, or SMRs, can provide up to 300 megawatts, enough to power 300,000 homes, so could power remote communities that now rely on diesel. They're already gaining steam in Ontario, and both Alberta and Saskatchewan are exploring the idea.
If you look at our power production system right now, we're still fairly heavily reliant on fossil fuels as a source of production. And so as we move to a scenario of net zero electricity production, we're going to need to look to other sources.
So nuclear clearly has a lot of potential, but what are the risks?
Canada's been in the nuclear power business since the 1960s, one of the first countries in the world to produce nuclear power, and we do have an exemplary safety record.
The Canadian Nuclear Safety Commission works with operators to ensure international safety standards are met.
One of the things we actually do is we do an assessment of each nuclear facility, not only on a regular basis, but then each year we produce a report card on how well those facilities are doing.
And one of the things being monitored is the radioactive waste that nuclear plants produce and store. Velshi says Canada still needs a permanent solution for that waste. Now, while some scientists say that nuclear power with its reliable energy outputs and low emissions is the answer to mitigating climate change, not everyone is convinced.
Nuclear is not only not the answer, I think nuclear is actually a negative for climate mitigation.
Romana says the price tag on nuclear builds and the longer construction timelines will hold it back in the race to improve emissions.
The climate challenge means that we have to reduce our emissions as fast as possible and at as low a cost as possible so that we can do it really fast. Nuclear fails on both the second and the third count.
So is nuclear power the silver bullet we need to get to net zero? It's clearly a complicated conversation, but with the push for nuclear on the prairies, it will be something we'll hear a lot more about in the coming decade.
And Ethan's back with one last look at your weather.
And Regina and southern Saskatchewan looking for mainly cloudy skies tonight. There's a chance that we could see some showers or maybe even a couple of rumbles of thunder in there. Down to 10 degrees at midnight. And by the time we hit tomorrow morning, we will see mostly sunny skies. We'll be bumping up by about a degree or so. Winds actually remaining fairly light through the afternoon, but we're seeing a little bit of cloud cover build in. And again, there is a chance that we could see some showers and thunderstorms tomorrow as we get around 18 degrees by the noon hour. In Saskatoon, very similar conditions. Again, showers possible tonight around 11 degrees. Look for that cloud cover to be built in a little more as we head into tomorrow morning. And as we get into the afternoon tomorrow, again, mix of sun and cloud. Could see a little bit more cloud cover. There is, again, a chance of some showers and storms there. So a little bit more unsettled these next couple of days, Sam.
Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
And before we leave you, Riders Training Camp gets underway this week, starting with Rookie Camp Wednesday, followed by Main Camp on Sunday. And to get fans revved up, the team held a family-friendly rally at Mosaic Stadium yesterday.
I feel like I'm right at home. It's a small town feel, bigger city. I grew up in a town of 338 people, in a town where football is beloved and it's just everything. And so when I got here, I almost feel like I fit right in. Listen, it felt good to be in green. I can't lie.
Fans are happy being here too, right? That's the most important thing, is they're happy being here, smiling faces, counting down the days till the season starts. They get to kick some field goals and just be on the field, which is really cool because not everyone gets to experience being on the field here, looking around Mosaic Stadium. So I think that's really cool for fans as well, and it's good to see them smiling and good to see them here.
It's a little different. I got here on Tuesday night, and I mean, it's been amazing even in just the, 5-6 days that I've been here. It's just been pretty special just to get to know people. I actually got to go up to Saskatoon and even just meet a bunch of even season ticket holders up there, fans from up there who are coming down to the games, and just seeing Saskatchewan as a whole, and just it's such a special place because, yeah, in Montreal, we had some good fans, good people, but just the average people in the community don't really know much about the Alouettes. But you come here and everyone knows about the Rough Riders, and just the support throughout the whole city and even the whole province is amazing, and it's just been it's been amazing to be able to be a part of it, and I'm so excited to be here.
So we got the training camp coming up in Saskatoon, the green and white game on the 20th, and then the next time we're going to be back here in Mosaic Stadium is the preseason game, May 27th. The BC Lions are in town, and then the home opener, June 16th. It's the Dad's Night Out game, so it's the Father's Day weekend. It'll be a lot of fun.
Also in sports news, the NHL Draft Lottery wrapping up tonight in Chicago. We'll have the #1 pick overall, so it looks like Connor Bedard will be a Blackhawk. Their previous #1 overall pick was in 2007 when they selected Patrick Kane. It'll be all official June 28th when the NHL Draft takes place in Nashville. Thanks for watching tonight. Ethan's back with more at 11. Have a good night.